Maurako, struggling through the bush, looking for that perfect manuka branch. Thanking Tangaroa Tāne Mahuta for his beautiful resource. Sawing it down, shaping it to you, the perfect rako. Mahinga kai, hunting deer, diving for kaimoana, gathering blackberries. Kai, crafting our meals, stuffing our faces, enjoying the company. Throwing stones, kicking balls, telling stories. Whakawhanaungatanga, building relationships through identity, tikanga, culture and values, all within a safe and supportive environment. That is Bros for Change. Finding your inner warrior. Real people, real talk, real change. Ko mota tau te maunga, ko tau mārere te awa, ko ngā toki mata whāro te waka, ko tau henare te marae, ko ngā puhi me tūhoi oku iwi, ko Ngāti Hine te hapu. Ko Esquire Jaye Gangster Pukepuke Junior the second tēnei. I was born in West Auckland. My father was a policeman. I was whāngai to my grandmother. It's like being adopted but by a family. I had lots of uncles and aunties and a very transient upbringing, so I moved around a lot of them. I remember at my mum's house one time when I was 5, I woke up in the middle of the night and I followed a recipe for ginger crunch. I made it perfectly and then just left it on the bench. When the family woke up in the morning, they're like, "What the frick?" This made no sense at the time. My mum and dad were always around, but me and my grandmother, we complemented each other. I would run around for her. She would look after me. I was very independent at a young age. I loved playing sports. I wasn't very good. I did have a very good friend. Me and the bro, we did everything together. Magnum was a German Shepherd. Aside from that, I didn't really have many friends. I didn't really go to school. It didn't interest me. I liked going to school and playing bull rush at lunchtime, and that was about it. I would walk into school one way, I'd grab a couple of lunches and walk out the other way. I never passed any subjects at school. I thought I was stupid. People also told me this, that I would amount to nothing. This just confirmed what I was thinking anyway. I never made it of importance to get to school on time, even just to school. You can guarantee on a Saturday, I'd be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, ready for rugby league. No matter where I was in the country, I would always be up and ready and find training or league. I loved it. I would express myself out on the field with aggression. I liked running into walls of defenders to see if they could stop me. I made lots of rep teams, including the Warriors, where I was thrust into this professional environment. I didn't know how to cope. I was young. I didn't have very good social skills due to not going to school. I wasn't used to talking to so many different people, and I wasn't used to attention. For me, the only way to cope was to drink. I got a bit of an ego and started drinking. That was quitting on myself. I then introduced myself to the police by fighting in public. As a result, I served time doing community service. There I met some like-minded people. These like-minded people, they invited me down to their boxing gym where I started fighting in the ring. I was on a downward spiral. I was committing small crimes that eventually escalated into armed robberies. We must pay the price now and collect our prize later. If we collect our prize now and pay the price later, life will always add interest. For my crimes of trying to collect my prize without paying the price, I received 6 years in prison and interest. And then it took me 10 years after that to rebuild what I didn't even have anyway. There's a high interest rate. I learned a lot in prison, a lot of bad things, a lot about myself and who I was. Who was I? I was someone with aspirations too. I needed to make the decision to stop what I'm doing and want to change. I needed to awaken my inner warrior. I said, I'm going to make something of my life when I get out. So when I got out, I went straight back to league the very day because it was my passion. It's what I knew. I studied to be a chef just because I wanted to be a chef. Turned out I passed and wasn't as stupid as I thought I was. Cue the random ginger crunch story. I studied psychology and passed. I trained to be a personal trainer and did. I was offered professional contracts to play rugby league in Australia, one of my aspirations. For 9 years, I applied for a visa to go to Australia. For 9 years, they said, no. I made the New Zealand Māori rugby league team. There was this big game on the Gold Coast playing against the Aboriginals. So I applied for my visa, and I got it. On my 10th try, 10 years later. It was amazing. I went over there, I led the haka, and I was proud to represent my culture. I wanted to bring that culture back here to Christchurch and start the Canterbury Māori Rugby League team, because there was none. I didn't know how to start. I just started. I'd learned so much and healed so much. Finding my own inner warrior, I wanted others to have that. I had barriers. There was not much support. There was no money. And people said I couldn't do it. Can't have a Māori team. What about a Pākehā team? I persisted. They told me I couldn't my whole life. I persisted. 7 years later, we have 18 Māori rugby league teams here in Christchurch, from sixes all the way up to seniors. I had missed my opportunities, and I didn't want others to miss their opportunities when they came up. I volunteered as a youth worker and was soon hired for skills I had to engage with the youth. I worked for 10 years as a youth worker with a whole lot of different organizations. I learned about how the system works, and I learned about what the youth want. I wanted to give more than the system allowed me to. So I wrote my own program. Our success is not about, Bros for Change is now in its 4th year. We are real people with real talk that make real change. Success for us is not about ticking boxes for funding next year. It's not about applying plasters that come off in 2 days. It's about relationship and passion that comes from lived experience. For New Zealand kids, success can be measured by credits or qualifications. For us, if you break 4 windows last week and you break 2 windows this week, success. Because it's a foot in the right direction. We say we sell them the cheese sauce, but feed them the broccoli underneath. Because they're learning while they're having fun. They said I couldn't develop a program for vulnerable youth, not when I've been to prison. They've been saying I couldn't my whole life, and I believe them. Your inner warrior is not about physically fighting. It's about overcoming challenges. It's about being resilient. It's about being accountable for your own decisions. That's when you start thinking internally. Worry about what you can change. Don't waste your time worrying about what you can't change. For me, recognizing who I was, what I wanted to be, and just being it. But I only found it through applying myself, taking on new challenges, and dealing with the outcomes. If you don't rise above the choppy waters and seek to find your inner warrior, you never will. Your ideas will join the failed ideas of others and the intentions that were never shared. In order to release my inner warrior, I needed to face those who doubted me, face those who I had hurt, being a small dot in a huge system, money, education, resource, I had none. And making that climb, no one wanted to be the first to support me. I had no credibility. Frederick Douglass said, without adversity, there can be no progress. They said I couldn't start a Māori rugby league team. They said I couldn't write a program for vulnerable youth, not when I've been to prison. They said I was stupid. All of you have your inner warrior. If you don't release it, you will never know what your full potential is. So what are you and your inner warrior capable of? Thank you.